Organized Grind with Oracle Uno. Recorded live at Graffiti Studios in South Minneapolis.
Yes, y'all. This is Oracle Uno checking in. This is episode 7 of the Organized Grind podcast. And today we have another very special guest joining us today. Why don't you go ahead and say hello, special guest?
Hey, what's happening, everybody out there? What's going on? This is Truth Maze checking in.
Yeah, we got Truth Maze on the podcast today. As some of y'all know, we recently released The Holy Bible, which is Truth's latest musical project that you can stream on Spotify, Apple Music, or you can support us directly at truthmaze.bandcamp.com. So yeah, we're just gonna be kicking it. I'm gonna let my guy Truth here get into just, some of the history of his career, who he is and what he represents and everything like that. So how are you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, everything in stride. I feel pretty good. It's good to be here.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So why don't we start off with kind of the beginning here? How did you get into hip-hop music?
Dang. Okay. Well, in my head, what's flashing in my head is first thing that came to mind was seeing myself as a very young boy, plotted in front of anybody's record collection that I could get my hands in. So, for example, I would go to a friend's house of my mother's.
Okay.
And back in the days, everybody had big record collections.
Sure.
Like, it was really typical. In most of the families that my mom was connected with, music was very big, and everybody bought wax.
Okay.
So this is in the 70s. This is, late 70s, mid to late 70s.
Sure. And where did you live at the time?
I lived. I grew up in North and South Minneapolis. I would say that this time period I'm talking about was anywhere between living back and forth in South in North Minneapolis.
Okay.
Once again, like the late 70s, 75 on up, because I was born in 68. So as soon as I could get around music, I was always around the albums.
Sure.
So at a very early age.
What were some of the records that you can remember?
So like around 7, 8 years old, albums that I remember that were really big. Well, not only that, there was 8 tracks.
Okay, yep.
So you'd be like hanging out with your people and they'd be banging 8 tracks.
Sure.
You'd have like a thing of 8 tracks. They were bulky, right? But the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire. Man, I was heavily influenced by Parliament and Funkadelic. I really liked Parliament and Funkadelic. Something about their music. Man, so much music to even think about. The Ohio Players. I remember being 14 and that being my first. I know I kind of went.
That's fine.
Fast forward.
Yeah, that's
but
fine. 14,
my first solo concert was going downtown to the Civic Center downtown Minneapolis, the old one, where the circus used to come and all that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I went to go see the Ohio Players by myself.
Wow.
That was my gift from my mom.
Wow.
You get to go to a concert by yourself.
Yeah, that's huge.
I was blown away. I had such a good time. So young, and just there for the music.
Yeah.
See live music.
Yeah.
But there was James Brown. There was Roberta Flack. There's my grandmother liked Charlie Pride. The Statler brothers were popular. Like the popular stuff that was being played, even on the radio or like say on the TV station via American Bandstand.
Okay.
Solid Gold. These old shows, right? Music. In that way was just a very important element in for me. So going back to the albums, I would just zone out on the covers. There's this group called Crown Heights Affair. Really liked them. It's from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. It was a funk band. I remember the first time I seen Rick James's "Bustin' Out" album. Yeah. And
it's a classic.
Man, and being in my big cousin's room on 14th and Queen. See, there was a house on 14th and Queen that was my grandmother's, that then became my uncle's, and then became my dad's.
Okay.
So I was there from a baby, you know what I mean, and then like throughout different phases in my life, even all the way up until my dad's death, I was still at 1423 Queen, and there was a lot of music that happened through me and in that house, that impacted me. Sure. So just a lot of like, I mean, my dad was heavy into like Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds, George Duke, Buddy Miles. I'm talking about like just heavy rock, funk, jazz, and soul music.
Right. Basically the beginnings of what would become hip hop music.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about Mazella Phillips.
Okay.
My grandmother. I had a stack of her 45s after her passing. My grandmother left here in, I want to say grandma, man, pardon me, grandma. A little fuzzy here. My grandmother passed away in the late 80s. If I'm not mistaken, it was the late 80s. Nope. It was actually the early 90s. My grandmother left here.
Sure.
Anyway, I had and not to like just
You're fine, man.
Just speed past that moment.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Dre,
okay,
when he made Funky Enough.
Okay, yep. That was the DOC, right?
Yeah, DOC.
Yeah.
Right, so we grew up rocking to that 45 of that very single, which was by the Silvers.
Okay.
Which was called Misdemeanor.
Dropping jewels on him right now.
So Misdemeanor was the original sample that he used.
Okay.
So, and then, so I can go on and on, but I mean, Dr. Dre's like a good example. And then Marley Marl, a couple of, man, so many beautiful people making music. But like, even like the other joint he used for, Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, baby. That, Leon Haywood, I Want to Do Something Freaky to You.
Yeah.
So it would blow me away later on in life. Well, okay, a few reasons why. I lost all those 45s. A particular DJ that I love, I will not call his name out. I never got the 45s back from him. No. And all of them mostly had my grandmother's name written on them.
Wow.
And I never got them back.
Wow.
But there was a gang of like the original samples, even Scorpion. Excuse me. The song was called Scorpio. Anyway, like, so that, I mean, I grew up on stuff like that.
Sure.
And, and it was like you would get up and you would dance, and we was emulating locking and all of that back then, which is all the precursor before it was even called hip hop.
Sure, right.
So looking at any time we could see, especially just to keep it real, when you could see black performers, because you couldn't see them, along with you didn't see Latino performers, not like a lot, very little, or native. I remember the first time I seen the group that sings the song "Come and Get Your Love."
Yeah.
I remember seeing them guy on American Bandstand.
Okay.
Dick Clark, big up Dick Clark. Yeah, and I was like, wow, because they were a native funk band.
Yeah.
And that was like big.
That was huge, right?
That was big. That was big to me. In terms of the passion that I have for music, like so that's an example, right? Yep. But anytime we could see anything, the first time I seen like the Electric Boogaloos on American Bandstand again, and they were popping. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Rerun, rest in peace, Fred Berry. and I didn't know about Don Campbell, the inventor of locking, but I had kind of seen images. I had seen some images of him early around that time. So I'm talking about, like, once again, late 70s, early 80s, was really tapped in, just really tapped in.
Sure.
So how I got into hip hop, I would have to say, is through dancing.
Okay.
Just strictly through dancing, through the art of the need to party and to learn the new dances and share them with people. Very, 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 that's very tribal. Right. And I mean that in a very honorable way, because dance is fundamental to life, like somebody jogging or doing yoga.
Right.
Straight up. Dance conveys things that we don't have to say with our mouth.
Right.
Period.
Yep. So can you remember the first hip hop record that grabbed you?
I'm gonna tell you the first hip hop album I bought.
Okay. Yep.
It was the Funky 4+1.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
It's the Joint.
Okay.
And I remember taking it with me to the roller garden.
Nice.
So the DJ could play it.
Yeah.
And I liked it because they had a female MC. And her voice just was so pretty. And, like, I mean, a voice can do a lot to you.
Oh, yeah, for
Singers move us, goosebumps and everything.
Right.
She had an appeal in her voice that was beautiful. But that was my first album I bought. But
do you remember where you bought it?
I think I went downtown and got it from Musicland.
Okay. Shout out Musicland.
I think I got it from Musicland, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
The Fetus was around too, because I was born at the same time Fetus was born. Hey.
Oh, wow.
Electric
okay.
Fetus, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like 50 something years old.
Sure.
Electric Fetus.
I never knew that.
Big up Electric Fetus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what really had me going was being able to listen to Alan Freed when it was KBEM radio, and he had one of the best hip hop shows. He had one of the best hip hop shows, and he was playing all this stuff that we couldn't hear nowhere. He was playing it, fresh stuff from New York, right? And well, mainly New York,
right.
Back then.
Yep.
So I was really big into. I remember the breaks being very important at my grandma's house. We used to bump the breaks by Curtis Blow.
Right.
And Christmas rapping.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah.
Rapper's Delight was big.
Right.
That was big. Those were the first. And then and Prince. It's interesting how Prince was right there when a lot of fresh hip hop was coming out.
Right.
And new pop. And new, I'll say, just new, different, this 80s sound in that was present in all the music, rock. I'd say the most popular music that I was listening to. So, I would say, like, Curtis Blow was big in my life early on because that I used to love skating and dancing. And so them were skating and dancing songs, and them were popping songs because I dabbled in popping.
Sure.
I tried to dabble in breakdancing. And I was too skittish.
Sure.
Because I would be into one thing and then I'm like, oh, the DJing and
right.
and that.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay.
Graffiti and everything else.
Right.
What was I gonna say? So this was before really hip hop was a genre. This was kind of the transition from electronic disco. Like you could still kind of even call like the breaks.
Yeah, because we were into some disco. You know.
Yeah, no, that's
I mean, gosh, all these other album covers are coming up, like the Black Moses album cover, Isaac Hayes.
Hayes for sure.
I mean, like all these songs that will become like staples.
Yeah.
For the best and flyest samples and breaks.
Sure.
Breaks. I'll say breaks first and then samples.
So as far as the popping and the breaking goes, do you remember the first time you seeing that or being influenced by popping and breaking?
I'm going to say it was first locking.
Okay.
It was first locking.
Okay.
And it was Michael Jackson on Dance Machine.
Okay, yeah.
And doing the robot that they break down. You know, that thing. And he was doing the robot and it was like, what? But you would see that Oh my goodness. Okay, I'd be a fool not to mention Soul Train. So we would see that on Soul Train.
Sure.
You wouldn't see that really nowhere else.
Right.
You would see that on Soul Train though. You would see all of the disco and like even the precursors to dances today, like whacking and all the stuff that we see that's like related to more the disco scene and the techno scene and the digital music house scene. You would see all that. You would see all that to funk music and R&B on Soul Train.
Right.
So that was where we would see it at.
Yep.
That's where you would see couples popping together, you know, like and just like even popping, it just used to be a dance.
Right.
You didn't have to be a popper per se and was trying to battle somebody,
Yep.
but that would be the move you'd be busting while you dancing with your girl,
Right.
and she would be doing it too. Y'all be hitting together, bam, 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 you know. So like that was the thing.
Sure.
Like every other dance was the thing.
Right, right.
You know?
So dancing was definitely huge, like the first step. Now, you're known as a beatboxer and an MC and a spoken word poet, you could say. So how did the dancing transition into your vocal capabilities as far as beatboxing and rapping goes?
So here's the confusing part. You know, I clearly can remember cartoons where the effects person was making sounds with their mouth.
Okay.
I remember that.
Is there a certain cartoon that comes to mind, or?
Oh
anything
well,
like that?
I'm gonna say Warner or early Warner Brothers stuff.
Yeah.
There'd be like this kind of wacky, kind of like marching band, kind of like sounding thing that they would that whoever was creating the sound effect would be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that clearly.
Sure.
I remember my uncle emulating that. I also remember my uncle emulating James Brown. And I remember me getting influenced by that because I was already rhythmic. I was already a dancer. I was already into making beats with my hands, slapping on things, you know, that whole kind of thing. And I'm gonna say like it was kind of weird. It was like I was already ready for beatboxing, in my opinion, of myself. I was ready for it before I knew what it was, because people used to tell me I would break down beats in the drill teams I was in. I'll be breaking down a beat and singing it and tapping it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it goes like this, and I would say, and this is the song. It's a cameo song, you know, it's by Cameo, so let's use that. Speaking of Cameo. Funk, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He had that voice.
Man.
That Cameo voice. Ow.
Larry Blackman, big up. One of the baddest funk rock drummers of his time and a singer at the same time. It's crazy. Like some, you know, that's like Phil Collins type level, you know, mastery. It is, you know. But yeah, it would be that the beatboxing, I'm telling you, kind of like it's a little mysterious to me when I actually started knowing that I was beatboxing.
Okay.
I knew I was beatboxing.
Yeah.
Not to say it, not to make it sound all you know, woo-woo.
Sure, but this
like
was
that.
before there was really a label to call it.
Man, let me
right?
and let me say this, like, because sometimes I've gotten it confused because time can be so squirrely. Like I remember beatboxing before I heard the number one beatboxer that to me was the most influencing was because it was Lottie Dottie. And then there was the Fat Boys, right?
Right. The Fat Boys were really, I feel like, the first ones.
The Fat Boys really brought it out.
Yeah.
The Fat Boys really brought it out.
They have that chest sound
But there
that
was
I could
something,
never do.
Yes, there was something different. Yeah, that was never my MO. I could never, I could never copy Buff when it came to that. Man, as a matter of fact,
Fresh Groove and all that, man.
Yeah, you know, so I'm going to say that I can't front and say that they didn't make me better as beatboxers.
Sure.
They gave me different ideas. But what created my beatboxing was my affinity for drumming.
Okay.
Period.
Right.
And my love for making beats via my mind and my body.
Sure.
So,
all right. So we're coming up on our first commercial break here, but before that, what came first? Was it the drumming? Was it the beatboxing? Or was it the rhymes? Like, kind of what came first, second, third? Did you start by drumming and then beatboxing?
Okay.
Was it beatboxing then drumming?
It was simultaneous. It was simultaneous.
It was all at the same time.
Like my grandmother, again, love you, Grandma Mazella. I can quote her saying, you know, let him pull all that stuff out the cabinets.
Yeah.
He want to beat on that stuff, let him do it.
Yeah.
In another society, as a baby, I would have been given like a traditional drum early.
Sure. Right.
In another society that's still fresh and doing it right now, if I'm in Puerto Rico, you know what I'm saying, I am by a congo or a bomba drum early.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like like we get a phone, but way more essentially important.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that would be the catalyst to me growing up, and my dad being the first person. Love you, Dad. William Floyd. My dad, because he managed an R&B group. He knew musicians, and he sent me as a preteen to the Way Unlimited. Big up to the Way Unlimited. If you don't know about the Way's history, the Way was that deal. Anyway, I started taking drum lessons there from Mo Stevens. Rest in peace, Mo Stevens. He was a funk drummer. He was a backbeat drummer.
Yeah.
And he was a nut.
Yeah.
He was a terrible teacher, but he was a beautiful musician.
You know what's really cool about this is that I almost feel like the spirits of all of these people are here right now.
Wow.
While we're doing this. Like, I can feel that.
Well, my ancestors probably actually literally are in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be funny and not once again,
man.
I
can feel it.
I don't play. And if you have a heightened sensitivity and awareness about your consciousness, you can really pick up vibrations, and that's real. Yeah. It ain't cliche.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
All right, well, shit, man, it's getting heavy in here with Truth Maze. Yo, we're gonna go to our first commercial break, and this is actually a commercial for Truth Maze's EP, The Holy Bible. So, commercial break. We'll be right back. Organize Grind, the podcast.
Yo, representing the Midwest, this is Truth Maze. Yes, y'all. Check out the new EP. It's entitled The Holy Bible. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Music and elsewhere. Red Pill Music, baby. They don't wanna see you in your raw style, see you in your stance when you're doing your own fucking dance. No, they don't wanna see you in the space, big grip on your face while the music straight's banging in the place. Now they don't wanna see you in your raw style, see you in your stance when you're doing your own fucking dance. No, they don't wanna see you in the space, big grip on your face while the music straight banging in the place. They don't wanna see the top cream rise, know what I mean? Run a scheme when the power ain't really about the green. The stereotype precise as laser beams. Got the mind stuck on only what's seen when truly it's the free mind. Keeping shit cracking, they be acting, but without us ain't a damn thing happening. The parallel, not knowing it's all about trapping.
Yeah, we are back. Organize Grind, the podcast, here with Truth Maze of Minneapolis. So we were talking about kind of how you got into music in general, not just hip hop, but music. We started getting into your drumming, beatboxing. So, time is already flying. I hate to kind of fast forward and all that, but let's start talking about how you got into these raps. There are
1987.
Okay, go ahead.
In 1987, I started writing on 1423 Queen.
Okay.
North Side. Yep, I was living over north.
Okay.
It was a time when the IRM crew was declining, the first hip hop group to be put on wax from out of the Twin Cities.
Right.
I wasn't seeing where we were going.
Okay, hang on. Let's rewind.
Okay.
How did you get involved with the crew, and how did the crew form?
Man,
what's the story of the IRM crew?
So this is where I am most humbled and have no problem with like bringing this up because I love it. My greatest influence here locally was through Kelly Crockett.
Okay.
KLC.
Sure. Yeah.
Because KLC was fly. There was a lot of fly people in the 80s. I don't know what it was. There was something going on. It's like the layover from the 70s produced all these fly people in the 80s, and then you got to think about what it was like. There was big hair in the 80s, and there was all this leather, and there was all these colors, and then there was this new feeling coming from the East Coast. Kel had went to Cleveland. I think how the story goes. Anyway, Kel was breaking. Kel was breaking before a lot of cats was breaking.
Okay.
Kel was good.
Sure.
But Kel was also an MC very early, and he could freestyle impeccably. Like freestyle his butt off. And so if it wasn't for Kel, because I used to run the streets with Kel, and I was beatboxing in the streets, I was battling people, we connected. The IRM crew was forming, and Kel was like, I can't do it without Be Fresh. I was hot on the streets.
Which is you.
Which is me.
Yep.
Which is one of my original names.
Yeah.
Be Fresh.
How did you get that name?
Because in Ramsey Junior High,
Okay.
there was hip hop had a great influence on a lot of people in a lot of different ways. In the early days, when young knuckleheadism was settling in, related to street culture, and I guess appropriately, what we call gang culture. I was going to Ramsey Junior High, South Side, and there was a clique, I'll call it, called the Spoonies.
Okay.
The Spoonies were mainly from the South Side, and the Spoonies were mainly off of 38th Street. And anybody who knows history, man, there's a lot of names I could bring up. I don't want to.
Sure,
there's some
that's
rest
fine.
in pieces that I want to say, like Ted Bobo. I loved Ted Bobo, and he was killed by the police in later years in South Minneapolis. But Ted Bobo was there, and Michael Earl and a few other cats. Victor Rosenblum, who was black, but his name was Victor Rosenblum. And anyway, we was all scruffy and roguish and young and stupid, and it was Spoonie B, because I was Billy.
Okay.
Spoonie B.
Okay.
So I already had the B.
Nice.
And we got that from who? Spoonie G.
Right.
But everybody was called Spoonies, and we
Right.
represented the South Side.
Okay.
Right? And later on, that Spoonie B would turn into Be Fresh because of the street organization that I was much connected with.
Sure. So then that turns into you hooking up with Kelsey.
Hooking up with Kelsey, being in the streets prior to IRM, then me being asked to come into IRM, which included Doug Shockley and Curtis Washington.
Now,
And that's how that started.
Is that because they saw you rap or beatbox, or
Because
what
Kel
made
knew
them
I
want
was.
to
Because
invite
Kel knew I was cold.
you? Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he didn't have to worry about needing a DJ. Because he had me anywhere we would go. And talking about ciphers. Man, we don't even know. It's funny because I see the conundrum with the whole generational thing, like, oh, y'all just don't know how it was, and da-da-da-da-da, and that seeming antiquated or unimportant, but it's not. Like, you had to really get it in. And I'm not saying the lesser good, or just, I'm saying there was elements that definitely were dangerous. But that's like what? That comes with life. If you're a baby creature in the forest,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You may not make it.
Right. No, that's true.
But if you do, then you reproduce and you live older and you get beat up and then you die and whatever, right?
Survival of the fittest, man.
That's just the nature of life.
Yeah.
So, we like sometimes we be in places where it be, really seedy. But for the culture, though we didn't know that that's really what we were representing, it was so important inside of us.
Yeah.
So important inside of us. So that's what happened.
Okay.
Kelsey. And Kelsey is who started me rhyming.
Sure. So now to put out the first record, how did you guys get into a studio, and kind of tell us about recording this first record, and what was the name of the record?
It was just the IRM crew.
And which stood for?
The Immortal Rap Masters.
Okay.
There was Brett and Carl. They would later own a studio in the Multi Foods Tower downtown Minneapolis.
Okay.
But there was Brett Edgar, and I forget Carl's last name, but anyway.
Did you say Kyle or Carl?
Carl.
Okay, I have cousins named Brett and Kyle.
Okay.
So when you said Brett, I was like, holy shit. But all right, sorry to jump in there.
So we used to record Uptown. We used to record Uptown off of Hennepin, like a block off of Hennepin, like Hennepin and 20, I'm gonna say it was 28th.
Okay.
There was a house, and we was in the basement, and we was using a 909, a rolling 909.
Yeah.
That's when we first started making music. They were the primary producers, Brett and Carl, young white guys.
Yep.
And it was Charles Lockhart, the creator of C Chill's record, and our manager that made it all possible.
Sure, and that's in relation to Seth Smith?
Seth Smith's father, rest in peace.
Okay.
I mean, blessings. Yeah. And that's how that happened.
Sure.
And so we was recording Uptown. We recorded the 4 songs, Diseased America, Let's Dance, which were more techno upbeat, like dance music, like kind of thing, like 12-inch kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. It was the 80s. And then Baby and I Dream of DJs.
Nice. Now, did recording come naturally to you, or did y'all struggle to kind of piece it together in the studio?
It was all learning. It was all learning, but I felt so eager. I didn't, it wasn't like, oh man, okay, I like beatboxing, but I can't go in the booth. It's like people that want to make it, but they say, man, I can't fly.
Sure.
I'm not getting on a plane.
Right.
Big up. I can respect that, but it's like, okay. You won't, okay, well, that's cool.
So, so the music gets recorded. How did it become released and packaged?
Well, that was C Chill Records. I don't remember. See, because we were stupid. We didn't know nothing.
Well, sure.
We didn't know anything.
It's all brand new, man.
I mean, I was 18.
Yeah.
My pops had just recently gotten killed in North Minneapolis.
Sorry
I was in the North Side.
Yeah.
I was thinking I was a gangbanger. I was out in the street, wayward. Didn't know really what I was gonna really do.
Sure.
But my music, the creativity, and being in the drill teams was my social action, access, and I had a pretty strong family back then. I also dealt with a lot of, absenteeism because I didn't grow up with my dad. I lived with him my first time in 9th grade. My mom's, she experienced a lot of different heartache and hardship because of her relationship with men and her own relationship with life.
Sure.
I kind of had like a get up and move around and get up and get it done type of lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Go for what you know, make it happen type of thing. And so we didn't have any support in the music. Did nobody even understand what the hell was going on?
Right.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
I mean, because hip-hop was like brand new.
Yeah, it
wasn't
where it's at now. It's some shit where it's like, why are you wasting your time
it's like,
doing this rhyming shit?
Pepsi's making sweatshirts now? Coca-Cola has a line out? A Coca-Cola? What is that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I'm saying like, so, tripping. Yeah, man. That's what happened. Like, and I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I do remember this.
Okay.
Being at K-Tel Records, K-Tel International. I don't know how many times I've seen those silly K-Tel commercials when I was growing up. Always trying to sell you something.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? The water sprinkler that looked like a duck or something. The quacker wrinkler or something, whatever. Anyway, I'm bugging out right now, but it's because it's a lot of thick layers to this story, and there's a lot of pain and there's some real serious enjoyment, right? But we got signed to K-Tel. We got a couple of $1,000. It wasn't more than $2,000 or whatever.
Was that each or for the whole group?
Each, okay. Right? And I remember seeing our album pressed up, and coming across the table, and at the same time, I seen the first Gangstar 12-inch that was also being distributed at that time by who? K-Tel International. So I'm thinking,
Wow.
I was thinking we're about to make it.
Fuck yeah.
Cause I was hip to them with their video, the first video, the positive and never negative. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, big up Guru. Much love.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, so there was that, and me seeing, I think, yeah, I remember his first videos. But anyway, so I was like, word, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
No.
What happened?
Nathaniel Jones. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? We went to a place of I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like there was something scheduled for something in February.
Okay. So
I'm saying like we did. I'm look. That happened. There was other trickery and fuckery in the mix. And I don't want to talk, you know, I can't talk bad about somebody that's not present.
Sure. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a tenant, it is an EFI tenant. It is that when, you know, when you're dealing with the power of words and knowing that what the tongue means, and you want to watch what you say even to, you know, about those that are present on the earth or not.
Yes.
And it was just whack. That's what happened. And I found myself in a state of depression. And in a state of depression and thinking about stuff like, how do I stay out of the streets? Because, man, I didn't really want to sell dope.
Right.
But that's all that was around, bro. And I barely made it out of high school. I made myself graduate because all around me was a lot of addiction and alcoholism.
Congratulations, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Huge.
But I made myself get out of high school. But you know, I mean, I was still like raggedy as all get out, man. I had a lot of issues to deal with that I wasn't dealing with, that I dealt with by avoiding and by self-medicating through staying drunk myself, even though I thought first time I had ever seen liquor or tasted liquor, I was like, there's no way I'll ever do this.
Sure,
There's
right.
no way.
Right.
First time I got drunk was in junior high school. I drank way too much gin. Anyway, like, yo, and so it's funny how things become you, though. There's a sense of in you that you don't want to go a certain route, but you may not know at the time how to. So in 87, I'm living over south. 87 going on 88. I had my third daughter. My third daughter is alive. Asia Harris. I don't know what I'm about to do. The lights and stuff is about to get cut off. We're living over here over south off of Bloomington and like 34th. I locked myself in a room. You know, drugs is being used in the crib. We doing, I'm telling you, like that real story. Like there's some, you know, we got some donated grapes. We can do the sugar water. We got cheese. We got some eggs. And this is me, my brother, and my sister, my mom's boyfriend, and myself, and maybe a couple other people that would stop through that didn't really have a place to live, that lived in had a certain lifestyle that was, you know, lived by my people closest to me. Right. I locked myself in a room, started thinking, and I didn't want to live, or I wanted to do something. I didn't know what the hell. So I went in. I don't know what happened, but I remember being alone for a long time. Damn. And Truth Maze came to me.
Okay. So this is the genesis of Truth Maze. Truth
Maze came to me, like literally. I didn't sit down and write a bunch of different names out. Sure. I was just thinking very deeply. The power of the imagination, I swear, is underrated. I think it's the most divine, one of the most divine aspects of our consciousness. Babies know how to use it very well. It's where everything comes from. And that's what happened. Truth Maze was born. I started writing more, you know.
So at this point, the IRM crew is basically done at this point.
The IRM crew is basically done.
Okay.
I mean, like, so Cursor Back. Yep. I started writing over north, and there were some things that happened after my pops died. I had to, move away from over there. Right. Boom. transitioned back with my moms. Got back with my moms. Tumultuous, you know what I'm saying? Just rough. And then like that, the writing started over there, but it was weird. I was writing like way out, like very like existentially, I don't know, like, and inside the enigma was the enigma that was the first thing that was the enigma that was, anyway, I was on some other stuff, man. And the homeboys would look at it like, yeah, they was feeling me a little bit. I remember Kel and them guys' I remember the day we was just all chilling. I was so happy to show them my rhyme book.
Yeah.
And they was just like, what? You know, they was trying to give me props, but they was also like, this is not what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
It was just really different. I had a really strange rhyme scheme. I was doing stuff like putting the rhyming word that I wanted to be the end, like the anchor, in the middle of like the line, and I was doing really different stuff, man. Like stuff that it's like weird. Like you get older and you get more conservative, which is whack because it ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It's a false idea. Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened. Okay. And so IRM Crew folds. I create Imagination Rising Over Confusion, which was the acronym. The group's name was IROC. Okay. And I did that, and I had put out a single called 5 Days of Truth Maze. I went back and started recording again with Brett and Carl at the Multi Foods Tower. I had my own reels back then. I had my own reel, right? I didn't even know what the hell to do with that. I don't even know what happened to it. Okay. Let me tell you that.
It's probably sitting somewhere.
I don't even know what happened to it, bro. Like, I don't know what happened to my first Be Fresh name belt, my first acrylic back graffiti jacket. I don't know what happened to none of that stuff, bro.
Wow. It's just out there. It's kind of like those sand art pieces where you do the masterpiece in sand and then you wipe it away.
Impermanence. Yeah,
that's exactly.
That's beautiful. Hey, you know what? I just was talking to my wife about that. Big up to Fadoon Doombi. Leslie, what's up, sweetheart? She's Southside.
Shout out Leslie.
Yeah, big up to Leslie.
Yeah.
I was talking to her about that, and I was talking to someone else about that too. Anyway, it came up a few times.
Nice.
But I value the principle of, I do now, even though it's kind of a mind fuck.
Right.
Like that everything even like that, but like this right here, like everything is not actually as solid as we think it is. But you know, you what the hell?
Right. Yeah,
saying, but I get it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I do honestly love the value of impermanence now, because so you don't get stuck.
Right.
And keep moving.
And if you think about it, that's life. I mean, we are here for as long as we are, and then whatever happens next is what happens next.
That's
you know?
what it is.
So, we're at 42 minutes in already. We're going to go to the second commercial break soon, but before we go there, why don't we talk about the transition into Micranots?
Oh, wow.
Can we speak about Micranots history?
Okay.
Because all right, so
okay, so here we go.
On their first record, you are featured, and at one point, you are listed as a member of the Micronauts.
All right, let me just tell you the guys the truth. I'm gonna do that. I can do this at 51.
Okay.
Right now, I mean,
that's what's up.
There's some power in being, you know, at the top of the pyramid, as some people would say. Like, now you got to start descending down.
Right.
You start at the base on the other side. You climb up, you get to the top, and then you got to go back down.
Yeah.
You make the 360. Yeah, I fucked up.
So, okay, so
I'm saying, literally,
what is the beginning of
the beginning was
Micronaut story?
Fucking beautiful. Like, the beginning was I was in a group called I was in a god dang, we were from out of St. Paul. Big up to Hidden Rhythm.
Okay.
Hidden Rhythm was the first person I ever seen loop using reels.
Okay, sure.
So he was using the reels to loop and making his. It was nuts. I didn't even know that was big. Anyway, DJ Hidden Rhythm, Josh Virgin, we created the group called Mixed Breed.
Okay.
There was all St. Paul residents. I was the only Minneapolis resident, and it was Jerry, and it was Brian, and it was Al, and we were all so different. It was 4 MCs and a DJ. Like Al was like the tech. I'm talking about this is fucking pre Wu-Tang shit, bro.
Okay. Sure.
I'm serious. Like, listen. No, listen. Brown Mug was like he embodied fucking the hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Or like what's the cats who had the logo with the emoji with the
three dots, right?
The three dots.
Yeah.
Hieroglyphics.
Yep.
So Brown Mug was like that. Jerry, whose name was Society, he was mostly like as if he had embodied all of De La Soul. Now these are not exactitudes, but this is the best way I can break it down.
That's fine.
And then Al was like a combination between like I'm gonna say Juvenile, what's my man, Cool G Rap, and like I don't know, Ren. He was just different because he would wear fatigues on stage and he was all rough and I was kind of like Doctor Strange.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Doctor Strange meets Doctor Strange, as my man, a Red Man or somebody, like embodying them kind of like tactics of being like, tactical with like the flow. But anyway, so it was all 4 of us.
Yeah.
I think you guys just bear with me. That's kind of that's the best thing I can say about Mixed Breed. Yeah. Anyway, if you don't know about Mixed Breed, then that's too bad because Mixed Breed was very, very important to like some hip hop history coming out of St. Paul that I was a part of. So there's that. And then so what happened was, because see, this is even full circle. This is before Dappo was Dappo.
Okay.
They was full circle.
Right. Yep.
And what happened was Shaka was in a group called the Metro Unit, and the Metro Unit was having issues, and they were breaking up. And then I seen Shaka perform somewhere, and he seen us perform, and we both was like, "What the fuck are you on, bro?"
That's dope.
Like, man, it was like enormous. It was fucking like Lord of the Rings type shit. Like literally, like because there was this energy about us.
I could see it.
It was an energy about us, and then there was Kool Akeem, who literally is Kool Akeem.
Right.
But he's a technician.
Shout out Kool Akeem.
And this is what happened. Like, this is how the Micronauts was formed. We put intention in the symbology. We created a sigil for it. If we want to go ahead and be like straightforward, we created a glyph of what the group meant, and that was put on a sticker.
Okay.
So, and the first thing we put out was a cassette. Hoods Pack the Jam.
That's right. Okay, well, hey, let's get into our second commercial break here. We will come back. We'll try to conclude this story, and then we'll talk about what you're up to nowadays. Hey, what's up, world? This is Oracle Uno checking in to let you know that I just released a brand new EP entitled Speech Therapy. It's entirely self-produced. I made every single beat. I wrote every single lyric. I recorded it, mixed it, and mastered it. And you can now get it at oracleuno.com. That's ORIKALUNO.com. Thank you for listening. Anticipation, I ain't got the patience. I'm getting so close that I can taste it. On the chase, can't leave a moment wasted. Give it all I got just to make it. Anticipation, I ain't got the patience. I'm getting so close that I can taste it. On the chase, can't leave a moment wasted. Give it all I got just to make it. Shoveling more coals into the locomotion. Combustible, the engine running off explosion. Increase the potency, pouring my Puerto Rican potion. Keep the motion rolling, no stop. Organized Grind, the podcast. We are back. We are at minute 49, so we are starting to run out of time, and my man Truth Maze has to go real quick. So we were talking about the Micronauts. Let's go ahead, let's conclude that story, and then let's get into what you're up to nowadays.
Word. So basically, what without going into too many details, unfortunately, Micranots broke up when we were all in Atlanta, Georgia, early 90s. I think it was more like 90, late 92, 93-ish.
Sure.
And I was in Atlanta trying to remake myself. It was awkward as hell. Because I didn't know. I tried to get into a band. I was learning a lot more about myself. I started getting into meditation and a lot of fasting. And I was working at a co-op. I slept with homeless people, homeless Rastafarians. Pardon me, in a garden that they were cultivating. It was beautiful. It was drumming and a lot of ganja. You know what I mean, like chilling, you know, and like so.
How old are you at the time?
Oh wow! So you know, when I meet Shaka and them, like I graduated in the class of '87.
Okay.
And Shaka and them guys were like just getting close to graduating out of South High.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm like 20, late 20s.
Okay, sure.
Where
I'm at now.
You know, and
29 right now.
Interesting enough. I mean, I you know, I would like to say big up to them brothers. You know, I wish things could be different now. Learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? I say, you know, cats were really solid though, and I got a lot of respect for both Shaka and Akeem.
Yeah, and I mean, so much time has passed, and people have grown, and life is not done yet. And
no,
you have no idea, or you never know what could still happen. I mean, conversations could still happen, and people could still kick it, and. You know, so I wish the best for all that. Thank you for sharing that story because it's definitely important. And the Micronauts were a huge staple in Minneapolis hip-hop.
Listen, I'm just going to say, if anybody has footage from the show that we did when we opened up for DOS Effects, it's probably one of the most classic performances of Twin Cities hip-hop, showing how dope we are as a whole.
Yeah.
Because we turned that show out. Everybody's seen it.
So, since that, we unfortunately we are forced to fast forward kind of super fast here. From Micronauts to now, you did a lot of projects on your own. You collaborated with a lot of people.
Man.
You beatboxed for Roxanne Shante live. I mean, you've done so much, but let's go into 2019.
Man, I even got to rock with Amir Baraka,
Damn.
you know what I'm saying, before he passed away.
Wow.
You know?
That's beautiful.
Wow.
But all right, so we're in 2019.
Truth Maze.
What is Truth Maze up to now?
I'm rocking with Graph Roots. I'm also rocking with Maps Jarvie and Umar Malik and Pernu Minhir and Joshua Damman and Matt Ilvasacker. Right now we are what is Oya's Radio for right now, a live band that incorporates a lot of what I've grown up on, and you know what I'm saying, it's all based and rooted in hip hop. The feeling vibe and wave of hip hop. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna start working on the Holy Bible 2. I want to get that done before August.
Okay, yeah.
And
we can make that happen.
Making an announcement.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then also I got a joint coming out with Farrington. The song's called Maria Shakti. I'm still just constantly recording.
Yeah.
And I might be part of a new duo group, but I don't know yet.
Okay, cool. We'll keep that under wraps.
And I also want to remake the song that Drake and Meek Mills does. That's joint that's real big right now.
Yeah.
I want to redo that.
Okay.
I'm putting that out there right now. I want to redo it with me, you, and my man Dispute One.
Okay, that sounds
I want to
fire.
redo it, or Dispute, or me, you, Dispute, and Unicus.
Ooh, that would be
yeah,
fire.
because I want to talk about some things.
Yeah, he's another guy that I would love to have on the podcast.
Unicus?
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Word.
Dope, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming through tonight. Any last parting words you want to say for this?
Bandcamp.com. Check out Truth Maze at bandcamp.com. Check out the Holy Bible. Check out Graph Roots. check out Organized Grind, check out all the Twin Cities artists and support each other. And big up and love to everybody.
Dope. Well, hey, we had Truth Maze here. Blessed to have him. My name is Oracle Uno. We are going to end this episode with a song from the Holy Bible EP. It is called Hardcore Graffiti. I made the beat. We recorded it on the same equipment we're recording this on right now, South Minneapolis. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. I'm sure Truth is going to be back at some point. And a friend of the show, family. And next time, now that we have the introduction done, it'll be a lot more funner, a lot more laid back. So check us out again. But this is Truth Maze, Hardcore Graffiti, off of the Holy Bible EP. You can get that off of Spotify, iTunes, all of the streaming services, or truthmaze.bandcamp.com. Thank you for listening. Peace and love.
I write graffiti, and you gotta deal with it.
But like if you see somebody, and your name is up there, and it's one of your friends, you say, hey, you like some nice graffiti, you know, like wow, teach me, they ain't never did it. They never did it.
My voice box holds ammo, you know me, famo. Hood-filled nigga with a hustle and flow. My ancestors moan inside of my microphone. Presence evident when I'm freestyling in the zone. Eyes roll back into the beat, I meditate and speak. Stolen culture, braggadocio, ghetto technique. Loaded like a dirty pistol, clip full of DNA. Ink pen sensei, killer with the wordplay. Homeless griot, night against evil. Smooth by the speaker, mic royal, gargoyle. Goon to the people for the struggle, staying loyal. Self-defense minister, making the streets loyal. Verbal smooth criminal, information administer, keeping it 100. No time for the subliminal. Mess in this age of misery and rage. Hardcore graffiti's what I spit on the stage.
There are so many regulations. Not everyone follows them, but
I hit him with that dojo flow from the Tempo 360. Black belt, water style to let you know I'm your host. Middle passage messenger, not your average. Soul stolen from Africa's Gold Coast. I love the hood the most. It taught me to know the legend, not to get too close, and that God was not a ghost. I hope you pay attention to my chaos comprehension. Remix my past life, I was a jazz musician, so I innovate, screaming forever, fuck the fake. Cause 95% of y'all done took the cake. See the microphone's my horn and I'ma blow it. My favorite MCs today are spoken word poets. I'm a combination of White Irish Rose and Moet. Hip-hop, you know it, we feel it and show it. That love, passion, misery and rage. Hardcore graffiti, we spit on page.